Welcome to Bunny Hugs and Mental Health, the podcast that deals with all things mental health. We talk to professionals, survivors, and loved ones about their sometimes informative, sometimes uplifting, and sometimes tragic stories. I'm your host of the show, Todd Rennebaum, advocate, recovering addict, experienced sufferer of depression and anxiety, and author of the children's book, Sometimes Daddy Cries. Hello and welcome to another episode of Bunny Hugs and Mental Health here on the Saskatchewan Podcast Network. I am Todd Rennebaum. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all the news listeners. Thank you for all the old listeners. Please, if you're listening on Apple, please rate and review. It only takes a minute, and it really does help the podcast out. So please do that. You can also follow me on Instagram at Bunny Hugs Podcast, Twitter, Bunny Hugs and Mental Health, TikTok, Bunny Hugs Podcast, and on Facebook, Bunny Hugs and Mental Health. I'm sorry if this is coming out a little late. I've had a very crazy week. My father has had a septal bypass surgery. He's doing fine, doing good. He's going to be home in a few days. My son graduated. We had to host a great big barbecue for that. My other son, we had to get him ready to go on a big canoeing trip with school. It's just been really crazy. We've had a car breakdown and all types of other stupid stuff. So I apologize that this is coming out a little late. I don't like doing things that I can't do well. So it's driving me nuts that this isn't out on time. But thank you for waiting. Next week, my guest is Dina Al. She is a nice friend of mine. We met on Instagram and we did some Instagram lives for the podcast or I don't know, I guess not the podcast, but for people. She's a life coach in Montreal and she's very passionate about what she does. She has her own technique and stuff, her own modality kind of thing. You can check that out on her website. And next week we'll be talking with her about thriving and surviving and how you know where you are in life with those things. And listen to that next week. It's going to be really good. This week I am talking with Big Daddy Tazz. He's based out of Winnipeg, Manitoba. He has experience, doesn't have experience. He's actually been diagnosed, I guess, with ADHD, OCD, bipolar. So he has a lot of experience in that. He does a lot of public speaking about his mental health issues, and he does so as a stand-up comedian. This is the last of my stand-up comedian interviews that I've done. There's been a lot lately, but they've all been wonderful. Big Daddy Tazz and I, we're a kindred spirit. Him and I, we got along really well. So you never know, we might do some collaborating together in the future. Maybe, I don't know how or what, but we really got along. He even had my kids' book. He didn't know me at all in the hole in the ground, and then lo and behold, he had my kids' book just by chance. Sometimes Daddy Cries. So anyway, I am very excited for you to hear that interview, and I tried to do this intro as fast as I could. Okay. So, without further ado, I give you Big Daddy Tazz.
Okay, good. Now there we go. Hey, Bunny Hugs and Mental Health. Let me tell you a little bit of what just happened there. We just had a great little conversation, Todd and I. And then I just said to him, "Hey, Todd, do you remember to hit record?" And all of a sudden, I just see him go, and that was it. So the stuff you just missed was the most important thing that'll solve all the problems in your life. But we didn't record it, so there you go.
Damn it, I don't remember it either. We figured the whole mental health issue out.
We figured out the whole mental health issue. You know, we were talking about, where you said, because I was joking around as I have a tendency to do. The more nervous I get, the more I joke, right? And so we were joking around, and I just said that people get upset with me for joking about mental health. And I said, I'm not joking about mental health. What I'm joking about is my experiences with mental health. Because if you look close enough, there's some pretty hilarious moments, right? And then I said, and if we joke about it, it makes it easier to talk about. If it makes it easier to talk about, then you're going to talk about it more. And the more you talk about mental health, the less of the stigma. No stigma means people are going to get help. And my job as a mental health speaker is to talk myself out of a job. That's what I want to do. I want so that years from now, and hopefully not decades, but hopefully just a few years from now, say when my son is my 14-year-old. I've got two boys. I got a 14-year-old and a 27-year-old because I'm good at relationships. And what I want is that when my boys reach not even my full age, that mental health is nothing more than a disease that people understand, right? It's an illness that people understand instead of thinking, oh, it's something in your head, you can solve it. Well, you can't, right? And by the way, I never had bootstraps. So stop telling me to pull myself up by my bootstraps because that's not helpful, to be honest with you.
They're extinct.
They were extinct.
Have you been diagnosed with any mental illnesses?
Dude, have you not looked at the DSM? I am. There's pictures of me in some of this stuff.
You're on the cover.
No, my introduction always says something along the lines of being a bipolar depressive, depressive,
forgetful.
OCD. Oh, forgetful. Yeah, no. I had COVID a couple of weeks ago, or actually, I guess 3 weeks ago, and I still have fuzzy COVID brain, right? Yeah. To the point where I had a heckler, which I very rarely have anymore, at a big fundraiser, and the guys yelling stuff out, and I go, dude, you can't yell stuff out. I have fuzzy brain, and it's going to wreck the show, and everybody's going to blame you, even though it's my fuzzy brain. And he just went like this. He goes, "Oh, sorry, yeah," and he never heckled again. He was hammered. No, I've got ADHD, obviously, because I can't keep a thought in. Attention deficit disorder. I can't just say ADHD. I have bipolar disorder, been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, OCD, which obsessive compulsive disorder. Here's a little hint, a little factoid that doesn't mean anything to anybody but to us. In Manitoba, the Obsessive Compulsive Disorders Association of Manitoba isn't open regular hours. So, little stressful, a little stressful. I'm like, are you sure you're not the Procrastinator Society? I have massive social anxiety. I have amazingly low self-esteem. Is it okay I said that? And also I have dyslexia thrown in there, and there's lots of other little things, but it's just me, right? I made a promise years ago. I will get help from my mental health so I can help others. But if you do not judge me for having a mental health issues, or whatever you want to call them, I will never use them as an excuse, right? So I never use I will tell people I'm depressed and I can't come, and I don't lie anymore. I don't say I'm not feeling well, or I've got other plans I forgot about. I just because I was avoiding a lot of things, right? And that's a way. That's people don't realize that's a type of self-medication. It's not just with booze and drugs. You can self-medicate with food, as I love to do. And my psychiatrist says, "You're eating your emotions." I'm like, "What emotion is dim sum and bacon?" Because those are my favorite emotions. And you can self-medicate with everything from avoidance and sex and whatever it does to take you out of that moment. That's a form of self-medication, right?
Yeah. Exercise.
Work, exercise. How come I don't want to self-medicate with those? Same reason I don't want to self-medicate with broccoli and leafy greens, right? Because that's ridiculous. But no, people do. They throw themselves into something to forget what's going on in their brains. Because I don't know if you're like me, Todd, but
no, I'm good looking.
Yeah, no kidding. And obviously you don't have a mirror. But anyway, I look like you from a Freedom 55 commercial. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm coming back and saying, listen, you need to start saving your money because because podcast pay. But what it is that when we're alone with our thoughts, that's when we get in trouble, right? If I'm sharing my thoughts with the love of my life, Lisa, or if I'm sharing my thoughts with my boys, or if I'm sharing my thoughts with others, very rarely do I get depressed. But when I'm sharing them with just myself, because I have the inability to look at the good stuff that I've done. I focus on the failures,
Yeah.
which is not fair to me, right? Because I've done some pretty amazing stuff, right? I really have. I was just talking about this with my son. I focus on the stuff that I've screwed up instead of the stuff that is helped, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, got to be kind to ourselves. We're not very kind to ourselves.
Yeah. Be kind to yourself, stupid.
Yeah, exactly. It's anybody that thinks that they're kind to themselves, stub your toe and see how that works for you. Right? You're such an idiot. I was talking to the couch, whatever.
Oh, God. I'll say that out loud. Like, I've had people be like, their mouths drop open, like the language I use to myself out loud. Even they're like, dude, like that's harsh.
You would never talk to a stranger the way you talk to yourself, right?
No.
You would never talk to your children the way you talk to yourself. If you do, you shouldn't be parenting.
Yeah.
But you never talk to somebody in trouble the way we talk to ourselves. But we have such negative self-speak. And it's amazing to me, right? Our brain should be doing this. You're depressed, but buddy, don't worry. You've been here before. Hey, remember this, and you remember that, and it should be pumping your tires, right? It should be filling your brain and your body with endorphins. It should be helping you out with all these lovely free-flowing chemical things going through your brain, going, hey, I remember that time you thought you couldn't do that, and you did that, and you remember the last time you're depressed, you did that. But no, what does your brain do? You're like, hey, remember that time in grade 2 when you thought it was a fart, you pooped your pants in front of everybody, and that's all everybody called you, pooped your pants for a whole year? Hey, remember that? Remember this piss up, and remember that screw up, and remember that. But you know what? That's what our brain does, and we got to because we have that little gremlin that lives inside of us. We have this little gremlin that feeds off of all the shit that we've done, all the crap that has happened in our lives, every wrong step, every fumble, every stumble, every error that we've made. For somehow it's sugar and honey for the gremlin, right? It just eats and slurps that stuff up, and it grows and it grows, right? Mm-hmm. And then people are like, oh, I want to kill the gremlin. No, there's I don't remember who wrote it, but I remember, don't worry about killing your gremlin. Learn what it feeds on and stop feeding it, because it's part of you, right? It really is part of you. But anxiety is a thief, and depression is a liar. Anxiety will steal your ability to see that everything's going to be okay, that this is just a momentary thing. Anxiety steals your ability to suss things out in a rational manner, whether that says, okay, well, maybe this will happen and maybe that'll happen. Your anxiety starts pumping up, and your brain should be going, no, listen, like, have those feelings if you feel like it. But remember, last time you had these feelings, didn't turn out very well. And remember, 90% of the stuff that you worry about is never going to happen, and 10% you can't do anything about. Just live your life and do what you can, or react the way you need to. So that's what the anxiety does, right? And depression is a thief, because depression steals your ability to know that everything's going to be okay eventually, and that people love you, and that you love yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what it is. And when you're hanging out with liars and thieves, your life's not going to be great, right? What it's going to be is you're going to question every thought you have, as we do, right? We wake up one day after a week of depression, and you feel like you're okay, and you're like, but when's the other shoe going to drop, baby? Come on, drop that shoe, right? I'm not going to start having fun because I know it's fleeting.
Yeah.
And that's when you have some problems.
Yeah.
When you no longer feel that you can have any fun, and you no longer feel that your life is worth living, that's when you start getting the darker and the darker thoughts, and that's when you're going to try to take your life, and that's when you need the most love, and not from others as well as there's love from yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Because sometimes people will say I love you and they don't mean it. They're just saying it so that you can hear it, which is fine. But self-adulation, that's important.
Have you been suicidal or had suicidal attempts?
Oh, I've attempted many times, actually. I'm glad I'm really shitty at it. Yeah. But I remember the first time when I was like 8 or 9 years old was the first time I tried to take my life. And I get on stage and I get emotionally naked, and I just tell people what's happened to me, because I think it's important. If I'm willing to get on stage and talk openly and candidly and talk about my struggles and use humor and tears, right? Then people may think twice before they attempt. They think, okay, well, Tazzy was through this and he said it wasn't worth it, and there's help, and hopefully they can do that. As I talk about myself in the third person. Actually, I didn't. I was saying somebody else said that, but anyway,
that's right. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. But you know what? There's been a time. I remember one time when I was questioning whether or not I should still be doing this, which I do almost on a daily basis, right? Because I don't think I'm worth. I don't think I'm worth very much, and I'm still working on that. 55. Hopefully, by the time I'm, 100, it'll work out. But
man, you are my Freedom 55 guy.
Yeah, that is. I am the Freedom 55 guy, buddy.
I mean, thought, not just looks, thoughts, everything, man.
That's exactly it, right?
Anyway,
I was in Sault Ste. Marie and doing a show, last minute show, flew in last minute, and did the show. It's a good show, but people were forced to be there because it was a workplace safety thing.
Right.
And at the end, I hug and we talk and, all that sort of stuff. Now, at the end, there's a fella sitting, just sort of standing around. I'm talking to a bunch of people. I can see this guy wants to talk, but he's moving a little bit closer, then he'll move further away, a little bit closer, move further, like a feral cat, right? And so I just sort of inched my way to him. I said, hey, you want to talk? And he said, yeah. He says, I liked your presentation. He didn't even meet my eyes. He's like, I liked your presentation. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. He said, you're talking about medication. He said, the only reason I take medication is because my wife and my doctor make me do it. I said, well, brother. And I gave him a hug, and I had him in the hug, and I said, your wife and your doctor are keeping you alive. Now it's up to you to do that too. He goes, no, you just kept me alive. Tonight, I was going to take my life. I was going to kill myself. I have a note written for my wife, and I just was done. And then you started talking about how easy it can be to fall down that hole, but how easy it is to help get people to help you build a ladder, right? And he said, but I'm going to go home. I'm going to show my wife the note, and I'm going to tell her I was going to kill myself, and we're going to go to the doctors, and I'm not leaving until I get help. And he left. And I went, because I had said to the universe, I need a sign that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, because I'm full of self-doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I excused myself, and I went through the doors of it was at a hotel. So I went into the hallway of the hotel there, the back hallway, the one that leads to the kitchen and such. And I burst into tears. I'm like, how can I not keep doing what I'm doing? And then I turn behind me and I hear, and I turn around and the organizer was there, and the lady that had hired me was there, and we all just had a cry, and we go, see, this is why it's important. Right? This is very important. It's, everything in the universe lined up that day. I was open the day. The other speaker was, I don't know if there was another speaker supposed to be there. I just remember it was very last minute, within a few days. Can you be here? Yeah. And that guy attended, and it wasn't for me to have a gig to get paid. It was so that guy could hear what I said. Right? I'm a big believer that the universe will put forth what you need so that you can help people get what they want. I wrote this the other day. I have dreams about things, and I wrote, today I thank the universe for the things that didn't work out so that the things that needed to work out could work out. Right? How many times have you wanted something to happen and you're like, oh, it didn't happen. You get mad for that. And then the next thing you know, well, that didn't happen, so this could happen, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
How does that feel, knowing that you actually saved a life, or at least extended a life? Like, I'm assuming he's still there.
I don't know. I never got his information, and that's it. But in that moment, he needed to hear what I had to say. Now, it doesn't stop me from doubting myself almost on a daily basis, right? Because that's the way my brain is wired.
Yeah.
But just like a car that you need to turn the key a couple of times, put it in neutral, and turn the steering wheel to the left to get it to start, that's just one of my idiosyncrasies, man.
I hear that.
Yeah.
I doubt that I'm even doubting myself.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Right? Yeah. I doubt myself so much that I don't realize I'm doubting myself. I just think it's reality, right?
Well, yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
Well, somebody asked me the other day, why haven't you submitted to Just for Laughs? I go, I'm not good enough for Just for Laughs. And there's a big silence on the end, and somebody, the person who's tied to Just for Laughs goes, are you stupid? I go, probably. Like, I get really, yeah, that's a loaded question, right?
You've never done Just for Laughs?
I did it one time
for
homegrown competition or something like that, and then
I see.
I just you need to submit, and I just thought, I'm learning more this past year about how my self-doubt has held me back. But I think too that this will sound pompous, that maybe if I got famous, I wouldn't still be able to do a lot of the gigs that I do, right? Because I do a lot of gigs for free or for very little money. I mean, I don't want to put this out the universe because I really, really need cash right now because of the 2 years of not working. But if I was financially set and I didn't have bills or anything like that, I'd never charge to get on stage. First of all, I love it. I feel accepted. And you help so many people, right? But the bank doesn't take adulation as a mortgage payment, right? Oh, you'll get exposure. People die of exposure all the time in Canada. So that's why I say that.
I've played in bands and do some artwork and stuff, and yes, I understand that saying very well. It's like, yeah, okay, exposure. Wow. I don't need exposure. I need money, man.
I had a lady phone me and say, hey, what's your fee? And I said, it's this amount. She goes, well, that's ridiculous.
Really?
I said, okay. And I hung up. So she phoned me back. She goes, I'm sorry, we got cut off. And I said, oh, did it sound like this? Click. And I hung up on her again. She phones me. She goes, are you hanging up on me? I went, yes, of course I am. So why would you do that? I go, well, you asked me my fee. I told you my fee. You told me it was freaking ridiculous. Where do you think the negotiations are going to go from here? Right? You that's fine. Right? That's, she goes, well, that's just one of my negotiating skills. I went, you're not very good at it.
Click.
And I said, have yourself a great day. But I'm not really interested in working with you.
Yeah.
Right.
I've had people say that's ridiculous, and then say you're charging way too not enough.
Not enough.
Yeah, and then they've actually doubled what I told them before. But
really?
Yeah, for like
you
speaking
need to send them people my way then. Because, and as an artist, you get it, right? People don't realize it only took you maybe it took you 3 days to do the art piece, okay? But it took you 25 years to be able to do that piece.
Yeah.
You're not paying me for my time on stage. You're paying me for the knowledge that I garnered and the writing that I've done for the last 30 years and the research that I've done. And you're not paying me to be on stage. You're not even paying me to be at the gig. You're paying me to be away from my family. That's what you're paying me for.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Right. And you're paying me because somebody said, oh, you're just talking. I said, okay, you can do it then. Well, no, I can't. Well, then it's something, right?
People are the worst.
Oh, they can be.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't mind. Instead of, what do you charge? I said, this amount. They said, well, we only have this amount. I said, okay, well, let's make it work then.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
I try always to make it work in some way, or some form or another.
Yeah. Well, you did Indian Head Theater, so.
Yeah, that was a blast. I love the Indian Head. I'm trying to get back there. I was actually, thanks for reminding me, because I had it on this little piece of paper somewhere to get a hold of the folks at Indian Head. And I'm going to put it on this one, and I'll send it to my manager. I have a manager now, and she's actually the love of my life.
I was going to say
more a zookeeper than anything else, to be honest with you. She's like a little Sherpa going, yeah, don't say that. So I'm going to get a hold of the people in Indian Head and see if we can do another fundraiser. That was a blast. A lot of people didn't realize that Indian Head,
venue,
that opera house was the largest opera house west of Toronto for many, many years. Right?
Yeah.
And it was in Indian Head, Saskatchewan. I love the sign too. Indian Head, we're a progressive town. Well, wouldn't it be First Nations Noggin then? Just to let you know.
Oh, there's been talk of changing the town's name every few years. It comes up, and
yeah, it is. My dad went to was at the Orange Home there in Indian Head.
Get the
and
hell
had
out of here, really?
Yeah,
Huh.
and one of the most horrific experiences he said he ever had in his life. So,
Huh.
but I've got some great. There's a great story about a fella in Indian Head that came and knew my father, and
Huh.
yeah, it's kind of
Oh, yeah.
it was actually at that event that I did there. Is that where
Oh.
you're located or what?
Yeah, I'm in Indian Head. Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, we've actually met before, you and I.
We have, yes.
Yeah, but
you look, yeah.
that was years ago. So
Nobody pays rent in my head, dude. No, I'm
yeah.
just kidding. I used to love the Needful Things gas station that was at Indian Head. The guy that
Super Save Gas.
Yeah, you walk in there and you could buy gas, stale smokes, and unopened hockey and baseball cards from 1982, and this would be like 95.
Yeah, and all the porn in the world.
And all the porn. My favorite, and a leather jacket with an eagle on it for no reason. Right?
Yeah.
Not lying. How many times have you gone in there, and I can't remember the name of the fellow that I know he's passed, but Freddie. That's right. And you'd have to wake Freddie up to pay him because you'd fall asleep watching that little black and white TV he had on the counter.
Yep.
I'm not lying.
No,
right?
you're not.
Freddie, I just got gas, Freddie. Oh, yeah, okay. Good. How much? I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's no longer there. It burnt down.
Oh no.
Yeah, but so there's no, and it was 24 hours a day that place was open, and now like we haven't had anything open 24 hours a day for like 15 years now. So
no, it's been that long. I just remember driving through there, and I knew, okay, I would drive from Winnipeg to Regina or Winnipeg to Saskatoon to visit my parents, and Winnipeg to Regina to do shows or whatever, and then I would get to Indian Head, and I'd have to pull in because I remember buying cases of he had baseball cards from 1982, 80, and he had hockey cards from 79 and 80 with the Gretzky rookies in them. And I'm like, oh, do you have any more of these? I got a couple boxes in the back. Want me to go get them? Yeah, I'll buy them all. Wow, oh, you sure the gum's no good? Well, I know the gum's no good, pal. I want the cards that are in there. And he must have bought stuff by the trailer though, because he had chocolate bars. He had Chattanooga chews or whatever that I had never seen since I was a child.
Or Charleston chews.
Charleston chews. That was it. Charleston chews and the whatchamacallits. He had the whatchamacallit, the bar, the whatchamacallit that no other store carried them. I mean, I don't know if he got Woco stock or like whatever happened to everything that ever closed down. But he had stuff there. It was like walking through. It was more a museum of stuff that nobody ever wanted to buy,
including the milk section.
Oh my God!
It was like I remember many times going there when you're desperate because the grocery store's closed. Grab some milk. Yeah. It's like 3 weeks expired.
Oh yeah, and that's how cottage cheese was invented, right? I mean, pretty sure that's the way that worked. But he was such a character. Like he would just sit on that, and it was I never saw anybody else work there but Freddie. Like I don't know if I got there every day when Freddie was there or what was shaking. But I loved the fact you had to wake him up because he'd fall asleep in front of that TV there.
It was him or his wife usually. Yeah. But anyway.
Yes.
That's about Fred.
How long is this podcast? Because we've talked about nothing so far. Nothing. We haven't even talked about buddy hugs. We've talked a little bit about. Do you know how many times I have to explain what a buddy hug is? And I go, well, I used to wear my buddy hug when I was having beep and Vico, right?
You say bunny hugs?
Well, bunny hugs, that's a Saskatchewan term, right?
Yeah, I've never talked about that on the
bunny hug.
Yeah, I've never talked about it on the podcast, so people don't.
Oh, really? No, So a bunny hug isn't actually this. This is a zippered hoodie. A bunny hug was the one you slipped over your head, didn't have a zipper in it, had a pouch in the front, also known as a kangaroo.
Yeah.
And we call them bunny hugs. And then our chocolate milk was called Vico. And our orange drink that was never that orange color, never ever anywhere else in nature did that orange color ever come up. And if you don't know, what you do is you go up to your dad and get him to shave his mustache. He's probably still got an orange from drinking beef. He's got that because it stayed like it was. What happened is that if you drank enough, or if you ever spilled it on your skin, you look like you went to a tanning booth right that little bit right there. That's all it was, right? It just looked. You're like, oh, what's that? That's from. Is that a dog bite? Yes, and this here, that's when I spilled beep on my arm the one time. I had to go to the hospital to get a skin graft, right? So there was that, and then just certain things like gibbled.
Gimble?
Right? I say the word gibbled, and people are like, I've never heard that term before. That's a Saskatchewan term.
Oh, I didn't know that
Gibbled.
either.
Oh, you didn't know gibbled?
No.
You don't know gibbled?
Well, I know gibbled. I didn't realize it was a Saskatchewan thing.
There's some terms like it's go riders. There's a term that nobody else knows. Where are we going? Higher.
Yeah, that's right.
What's a telemiracle?
It's where you phone in a miracle.
That's it. When you phone in a miracle, that's exactly what we've done. I was blessed enough to be on Telemiracle when the time we hit 7 million, and we ended up having when you get to sit around and talk to Bob from
just gonna say
Bob McGrath from Sesame Street, right? The year that I came there, they brought Bob back the next year because they knew they were going to break their, because we had 2 bequests of a couple $1 million. They brought Bob back, and it was here I am, and I'm terrified to sing in public because I was told I have a terrible voice when I was a kid, and I got my arm around Bob McGrath. We're singing "Oh Canada" at the end, and he looks at me, and goes, "You need to sing more." Right? And he goes, "You should sing a song." And I went, "Should I sing out loud? Sing out loud?" I said, "I worry about if it's good enough for anybody else to hear." He goes, "No, just sing a song." So we were just messing around in the back, right? He was just such a great fella.
Yeah.
Right?
Man, he did that for decades.
He did. He was in his late 80s when I talked to him last.
Damn.
And he told me, "You're one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life." And he goes, "I don't even mean on stage. I just mean you're so quick-witted." And I went, "Oh my gosh," right? Because I was at the very first Telemiracle when I was a kid.
Really?
My dad dropped me off with a bag of sandwiches and some drinks and stuff, and I sat in that audience, and we were there for the very first Telemiracle. And when we reached $1 million, people lost their minds. Like $1 million, million, right? And but none of this has got anything to do. Welcome to the ADHD podcast. Where we're supposed to be talking about mental health, but we're going to talk about, hey, there's a squirrel.
I actually I have an appointment to be assessed with ADHD, so
I've talked to you for 10 minutes, dude. You don't need an assessment.
I've had other people with ADHD go, "You've never been assessed?" I've always just compared myself to you, and like, you're the poster boy. I'm like,
you're the poster boy.
Like, oh,
I'm supposed to be the poster boy, but I forgot to send in the picture, right? I mean, that's. But you know what? My psychiatrist, every couple of years, he goes, "Well, we need to get you assessed." I go, so he'll get you to take the test. So I take the test, and he goes, "Okay, your number, I think it was like 84 or something." I go, "Oh, what means I have ADHD?" He goes, 30.
They make you do it.
He broke the record.
They make you do it every few years?
No, he just wants to see where I'm at.
Oh, I see.
And things like that. Yeah, I mean, and I think he does it to entertain him. So I remember we were doing a Zoom call one time, which is kind of cool. My psychiatrist. It's hard to avoid your psychiatrist when they're actually will call you, right? Because during the pandemic, we had these. Sorry, I just had a hiccup for no reason, right?
Well, I'm sure there was a reason.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a reason. I shouldn't have dim sum. But and he goes, "Okay, well, you take this. Here's the. I'm going to send you the link. Go to this link, and then you tell me tell me what you scored on it, and then I'm going to take this other call for a couple, because we always go over on our." And he gets back to me. He goes, "Okay, did you take the test?" I said. He goes, "What do you think?" I said, "Do you know there's 3 golf balls on the moon?" Because I went somewhere completely different, right? Just like, click this, and away we went, and down the rabbit hole.
I'm surprised I'm even able to do a podcast. Like, I'm trying to record it too now to put it on YouTube, and well, you saw the fiasco that just happened.
Yeah.
And then I forgot to hit record again once we did get settled, and yeah.
I'm so glad that I had a little thing here that says hit record because I just looked down and went, I bet you didn't hit record. Can you imagine? This would have been the best podcast ever, and you got 2 guys with ADHD. Right, ADHD squared, and neither one of us. today we're going to talk about peanut butter. And the next thing you know, okay, we're done. And I look at you and you're like, did we talk about peanut butter? No.
Yep. Well, I told you the story about the Australian guy that I forgot to hit record.
Yeah.
And if you hadn't reminded me, so the most recent self beat up I've done was after that, where I forgot to hit record. Yeah. And I mean, I was brutal to myself. Like I said, there were like, I wouldn't say that shit to my worst enemy, but I was saying it out loud to myself. So I'm so glad you did say, "Are you recording?" only after a couple of minutes, because I mean, I think I would have just drove myself to the hospital.
It's just I need a series of lists. And Lisa, who I call Lala, she has a list of stuff that I'm supposed to, and it's just, I'm 55, going to be 55, I think, or something coming up. And I just need lists. I need some structure. If I don't make lists, stuff doesn't get done. Well, stuff gets started. Nothing gets done, right? And it's just our idiosyncrasies, right? It's just who we are. Same reason I don't pole vault, right? I'm not good at it, right?
Yet.
First of all, I don't know who would sponsor me. Somebody was telling us too, they're like, "Oh, we're living in a computer simulation. Do you believe that?" I went, "No, who would pick me as an avatar?" Like, seriously, right? It'd be like, "Oh,
a troll." That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
God damn it. You see, I'm doing it again. I do this every episode. I go to say something and I forgot what I was, and I don't write it down.
Yep.
Oh, fuck. Doesn't matter.
Oh, you'll think about it when it's not supposed to be. Like, you'd be in the middle of the night going, "Purple," right? No reason.
Yep.
So what are your diagnoses, mister?
Well, I'm in recovery of addictions.
Okay.
5.5 years. I've been.
Congratulations, pal.
Thank you.
Proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you love yourself more than your addictions. It's very important.
Well, I miss them at times.
Yeah, so do I. I miss drinking. Oh God, I miss drinking a lot.
Are you sober too?
I'm sober 20 some years, 23 years, something like that.
Damn. Okay.
I haven't had a drink and that, but missing it is fine. Right?
Yeah.
Needing it is bad.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I miss the good stuff of it, right? I don't, which was very few and far between by the end of it. But so anyway, I'm an addict, and I've been diagnosed with like just chronic anxiety and depression. Yeah. But now that I've been learning more about ADHD and all this stuff, and I mean, I've basically been told that I have it, but I want the assessment just to make sure, and same thing, see where I'm at and all that stuff. I'm thinking that a lot of my anxiety and depression comes from the ADHD, and so I've been treating the symptoms and not the root cause, and so it's like no wonder I haven't been like able to nip the anxiety in the bud. Oh, I know what I was going to say earlier. I was going to say squirrel. No.
Squirrel?
I was going to say, I've been, one of the things that gives me anxiety and depression is like these patterns through my life that I've been having, and I've been trying so hard to break them, like quitting jobs every 1.5 to 2 years and, just chasing my tail all the time. And I just learned that ADHD, it's not, it's hardwired. We're hardwired. It's not like a personality disorder that you can treat and overcome. It's like, so it made me feel better that like, okay, so if I am officially diagnosed, it's like, oh, this is just how I am. It's not, I'm not less of a person because I can't break these patterns. It's just, that's how my brain works.
Oh yeah. It's the same reason a diabetic needs to follow that structure, right? So you figure out what's shaking in your noggin, and then you work on it. It doesn't mean you can't change. It doesn't mean that it's almost when you recognize that the patterns that are happening, you can break those patterns or embrace those patterns and use them for you.
Right.
You probably quit your job because you get bored, or you think there's something else out there that you need, or you probably quit your jobs because you think, oh, this is either, I'm no good at this, or I'm something like, there's something better out there for us. Instead of saying, you know what we're doing right now is important.
Right. A lot of it is coworkers. It's like I get bored with my coworkers, or they get on my nerves, or I don't like management, or I don't like my, it's always something. And I always like, if only that would change, then this job would be great. And I've been in jobs where that has changed. I quit anyway.
So the same reason I said to my son one time after my third divorce, he said to me, I said, I need to find the common denominator. And he goes, it's you. So we have to be very careful about how we treat ourselves. And we are not our diagnosis. Our diagnosis is part of us, right? So when you get assessed, what is that going to do for you? Well, it's going to answer some questions. It's going to give you a direction. Now, are you going to keep quitting jobs every few years? Maybe, until you find one that's not a job anymore, right? Until it's a passion.
I would love to do this all the time is what I'd love to do.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Right. But you can't live off a can of Coke and some smokes. But I mean, what I'm trying to say is be kind and gentle with yourself, because the reason that we are addicts and alcoholics is we were chasing something, right? So I had to decide, I had to fill the hole in my heart that was missing with self-adulation instead of booze, right? I never got into any hard drugs, like Coke a couple of times maybe, or I didn't like it. Like, it just was not for me. But smoking pot or whatever, that's nothing now. I mean, it's just is what it is now, right? But the booze was what, and people didn't realize I was drinking as much because I hit it pretty good, right? But and some painkillers and stuff. But what I was doing was trying to chase a high, but also dull the hate that I had for myself inside me, right? And that's a learned behavior. It really is, I believe.
Yeah.
Those that are listening to this, I'm not a doctor, I'm a comedian, but I've hated myself a long time, so I can tell you how it works, right? But I think that I'm glad you're sober, and I'm glad you're recovering. I'm glad you're open about it, because the more that you say that to people, other people that are thinking about, making that change, it's important. We have to learn to love ourselves more than we love the feeling we get from whatever our addiction happens to be.
Yeah.
Right. And then when we realize that we love ourselves and we are lovable, then we see that other people love us. And then when we are able to see other people love us, we have more love. And then we're able to give that love out unconditionally.
Right. Yeah. It's funny. It's like I go through phases of loving myself, and then I feel like I'm letting down my wife, who I've been with for over 20 years. So she's like I'm, like ride or die. It's like, you think I would get over that I'm letting her down. She can leave anytime she wants, right? But it's like, I have these responsibilities. I have two boys too, 17 and 15. I got this wife, it's like, I've hardly been working the last couple of years, I'm always chasing squirrels. And it's like, I think it's cool. I think it's really cool what I'm doing, but I'm worried, I get scared that she's thinking less of me or annoyed with me, or I'm letting her down in some way. So then that's what beats me up, even though she's never, ever said anything to make me feel that way.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I just use her as an excuse to beat myself up, or to hate myself, or what it is.
It might be. How about this? How about don't put your thoughts in her mouth? Right? How about let her trust her enough that but how about trusting her enough to let you know that she will let you know that thing come out right? How about trusting her enough that she will tell you when you're misstepping?
Yeah.
And that it's not a criticism. It's set out of, generous intent. I've fallen in love recently with somebody who's been in my life quite a long time. And we are just in love. Like, it's awesome. It's, who knew that at 55-ish that I could find the same pining I had when I was 15, right? And it's so beautiful. But I was open with her. I said, you shouldn't be with me because I'm broken. And I said, and I react the wrong way to things, and I have a crazy bad temper. And I just laid out everything that I thought was shitty about my soul. And she went, okay, so we doing this or what?
Mm-hmm.
And we are. But I trust her enough that when she says, and there are things that she'll say that trigger me, but it's funny. She'll say them, but I'll hear them in my dad's voice, or I'll hear it in somebody else's voice. It's not what she's meaning to say. It's what I'm hearing, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we always say generals and tense, right? It's always generals and tense, generous and tense.
Mm-hmm.
And so she wants me to be the best version of me that I can be, and she's willing to help me do that. But I still have to do some of the heavy lifting, right?
Yeah.
I have to believe in myself. I have to believe that I'm worth it. I had to. There are times where I didn't know if I was good enough for her, if the relationship was going to work, because here I'm going to screw something up, because I screwed up a lot.
Yeah.
But now now I just say, I say, here's how I'm feeling. And she goes, well, let's talk about this. Let's talk it through. And I sometimes will go, no, you know what? I'm good. I just said what I needed to say. And it made it clear in my mind that that's not the way you were saying it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're hard on ourselves, little brother. We are.
Yeah. I think part of the reason too that I put, I have that idea that she's always mad at me, or she's disappointed in me or whatever, is because I have hurt her in the past. Like when I was in the middle of using, when I was in my darkest days and stuff, I think it's like it's almost like I gave myself PTSD with my wife or something.
Oh, that's quite possible.
So it's like, oh God.
But she's there, right?
Yeah, sucker.
Seriously. And being very, she's there.
She is.
All the shit that you think you put her through still didn't negate the love she has and the belief she has in you, right?
Right. Yeah,
so
I know.
She's there.
There's all stuff I know, but yet, I don't know.
I also know calculus somewhere in my head, but I don't use that either, right?
Yeah.
Right? We know this stuff, but it's okay to be reminded.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny. I'm great at giving advice. I'm terrible at taking what I give to other people.
Especially my own advice.
Yeah. Oh shit, I'm horrible.
Right? Physician, heal thyself. That never happens either, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm like the mechanic that drives a shitty car.
Yeah. Right. The shittiest mechanic should be driving tow trucks, I bet. But that's how we are, right? We are incredibly hard on ourselves because we think in our souls, that little child that lives in us, we need to be punished, and we need to commiserate on every negative thing you've ever done. Instead of, I said to I hate calling my ex-wife, but Shelly is my son's mom. And there'd be times where like, you know what, I'm really sorry I did this. She goes, you need to stop reminding me about stuff that I forgot happened. So if I've forgotten about it, then I've forgiven you, and you need to forgive yourself, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now I try to think and say things that I'm not going to have to apologize for afterwards. But it's part of who we are. Yeah. Right. We and there's many, many, many like us, right? There's many people that we beat ourselves up on a regular basis based on things that we've screwed up in the past. And if you're like me, you think that because of the way my family dynamic was, that if I screw up, that's it. Everything's over. Right? See, love was a weapon in our house. Mom and dad were great people, terrible parents, just terrible parents. They didn't know how to show love or give love. And then sometimes they would just take it away. And I think now sometimes if I say something or screw something up, I'm like, oh my God, I have to go now. I have to leave. That's it. This relationship is over. But that's not what's happening. Right. Mm-hmm. And I feel now when I know that if I screw up, it's okay. It's just us. I don't get as angry anymore. Mm-hmm. There are times where I'm like, oh, I need to go now. And it's got nothing to do. I just need to go so I can get centered. Right. Before I start saying purple monkey dishwasher, and all of a sudden I gotta apologize for that.
Yeah. Well, in your case, it could be generational trauma a bit too, because you said your dad basically grew up in in a group home or an orphanage or whatever
Yeah.
it is. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it was an orphanage. It was a work camp. Yeah.
Yeah. But no one, well, you couldn't adopt kids out of there, so whatever it was.
Yeah, so my dad's parents are still alive, but my mom didn't, his mom didn't want anything to do with him. So she threw him in the orange home. And then when she needed somebody to make some money, she brought him out to make a bunch of money. Her and her daughter would take that money and put him back in the orange home. Right?
Oh, yeah. Right. So
yeah,
we're just trying to improve our generations a little bit more. And I'm hoping my kids do a little better than I did. And I hope their kids do a little better than they did.
That's all being a daddy is, buddy.
Yeah.
Is to teach them the lessons that they can glean so they can be better people than we are. And so I had a choice. I could be like my father, or I could be, the father that I wanted him to be. And I stumble and I crumble and I do things. My oldest boy has seen me in some of my worst scenarios. I mean, he's seen me fight. He's seen me lose my shite on people. I'm not proud of that. Right. My youngest one hasn't. Why? Because as I got older, I got wiser. And wiser doesn't mean you become smarter. Wiser means you take the lessons that you've learned and you use them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the wisdom comes from sharing that knowledge with others.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Wisdom is somebody said what the difference between being smart and being wise is. Being smart is knowing that tomatoes are fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put them in a fruit salad. Right?
I love that.
Oh, yeah. It's the whole thing. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I said that to some kids the other day. And this little girl looks at me and she's like, oh, that's why you should try to never, ever try to fill a balloon with seagulls, right? I said, she goes, well, you can probably fit seagulls in a balloon, but you probably shouldn't do it. That's exactly what I meant. Right?
She's smart and wise.
She is smart and wise. You're taking over your podcast, buddy. You should be talking. I should be listening.
This is why I do a lot of public speaking about my own story. So I actually got sick and tired of it. I was like, I'm tired of telling my own story. I just want to listen to other people's stories. So that's why I started the podcast. So I was like, plus I've made enough connections.
We should be sharing the stage, and we should be doing a little mental health tour, and you share your story, I'll share my story, and then the most important part of anything that I like to do is the question and answer, right? I'd much rather do a 2-hour question and answer than present, because I can present on a whim, being pop, right?
Yeah.
You say something, it'll trigger a story, and away we go. And that's why I wanted to do something called FAQ mental illness, right? And then if you frequently ask questions about mental illness, but if you sound it out, fuck you, mental illness, right? Yeah. So I thought that would be great, actually. It's I always tell the client, we've had a client call, Lisa and I had a client call the other day where I just said, I love the question and answer part, because then it becomes for you and your union or your group or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah, same. I about a year after I left treatment, they asked me to come back and speak every 28 days, so that every cycle gets to see me. And same thing. Yeah. I was like, oh, I can't wait to finish my story so I can start answering questions, because that's same thing. Yeah. I just love it. And a year after that, they actually hired me. They actually asked me to join the staff. So that's
awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, it was I've never had a more satisfying, more soul-filling job than working with other addicts, and it's like, and because they are there every 28 days, I mean, you can tell the same jokes over and over, and it's
Dude, it's been 30 years. I still use some of the stuff I wrote 30 years ago.
Like, same joke, new audience.
Yeah, same joke, different president.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But then COVID hit, and then we had a fire, and it burnt down. So, yeah. So anyway, so now that was like the one job that wasn't my fault that I had to leave. So.
So that's what you're saying, is you had an alibi. That's what you had. That's what you're saying.
I started the fire.
And I had an alibi, and away we go. Right.
I started the fire, but no, I'm kidding. I did it.
You probably don't say that live anywhere, right?
I'm gonna edit that out.
No, leave it in because I got bail money. It's not mine.
Right. But
So what are you doing now?
well, so I've been working in my best friends have a garden. They're a couple, husband and wife, and they have like a market garden. Every year they expand a little bit more. So the last summer and this summer, I'm just give me a hoe, let me have it at that.
Yeah.
It's seasonal and part time, and right now that's pretty much all I can fucking handle. Last winter I kind of accepted that I don't know if I can have a full-time job. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I can just, I just accepted, like, fuck it. I'll just do this. And, so in the winter I've, do podcasts. I do some speaking. I wrote a kid's book about a year ago. Sometimes Daddy Cries.
Oh, you know what? I got that here. I read it a while ago.
Get out of here.
Seriously, it's back here somewhere. Sometimes, Todd, I didn't realize you wrote that book. That's a wonderful book. Where is it? It's here somewhere. Sometimes Daddy Cries. Yeah. It's got to be. It's here somewhere. Of course, I've got OCD and I got to find it. Talk amongst yourselves.
I don't believe that you actually have it. Someone from the States were like, oh, I heard of that book. It's like, really? Well, why am I only broken even on it?
Oh no, it's going to bother me. I think it might be in my take to school pile. Yeah, no, I've got that book, man. I didn't realize you wrote that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I've been pissing around with that, and like it doesn't really pay anything either. But I can't go to school because I quit a job every 2 years, so I can't go to school for 4 years to quit a job. I'm gonna quit a job. Yeah. So I just keep busy with that. I plunk around with some artwork. None of it really pays, but I consider this going to school. So, in 4 years' time, maybe this podcast will be making money and whatever. So,
well, how about you and I write a kid's book together then?
Fuck out, man. I would love to do the Q&A thing. I'd love to write a book. Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's write a kid's book. I got 95 of them in my head. Whether or not I wrote a book called Bartholomew the Barkless Beagle, and it didn't get published. I wrote it probably 15 or 20 years ago for my son, my oldest son. I just came up with it's a rhyming book about a dog that can't bark, and he's got a friend her name is Cleo, and she's a clumsy calico. She's a cat that she's like the worst cat ever. She can't walk properly and that. So Bartholomew is a dog, and he keeps making like. Well, every time he barks, he does a different animal sound. So it becomes a question and answer for the kids, right? Then at the very end, he's upset because he can't bark, right? And so she goes, "Well, what's your name?" Bartholomew. Well, what do they call you for short? And he goes, "Bart." Say it loud. Bart. Say it 3 times. Bart, Bart, Bart. She goes, "Close enough." Every book is going to end the same way. And all that you say and all that you do, you never have to be perfect. You just got to be you.
Well, what the hell you need me for? You got all these books in your head already.
Oh, they're in my head. I can't draw.
Oh, I didn't draw the artwork. I didn't do the artwork.
No.
The artwork I do, it's like, it's too creepy.
It's too creepy.
It's either creepy or it's like abstract. It's like nothing a kid would look at. They'd be like,
you'd be surprised what kids would look at. Yeah, I'm gonna find that book again because somebody just sent it to me a while ago. Of course, now my brain is very. I know I just read it. I just read it a few within the last couple of months. I read it.
Really, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know celebrities had my book.
To read this book, and they mailed it to me, and I got it, and so that might have been the one sale you had.
My one Manitoba sale. Well, and the thing is, one of the reasons, like, it took me 4 years to do. So actually, now we're just talking because I think people don't want to hear my story. But the night I quit drinking was the night I wrote the first draft of the book. And I ended up in the hospital, suicidal and detoxing. But so it took me 4 years to actually finish it. And it was during COVID. So I never had a real good chance to go out for the PR because everybody was stuck inside. So I'd like do Zoom calls for like 20 people, but I couldn't, be there with books in hand and hawk books and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've broke even. Not that this was a big money maker, but I certainly didn't want to lose money. So anyway, it's just
why should it be like every other endeavor I've had?
Yeah, exactly. The only endeavor I ever made money on was actually playing in a band.
Yeah.
And no one really liked us, so go figure. But yeah,
it's a great book. It's a great book that you've written, Bud, and it's fantastic. And it was along one of the lines that I wanted to do about Daddy's not well, right? And it's just about some days Daddy is grounded, and other days he's a circus, right? It's all some days Daddy's really fun, and sometimes Daddy is scary, and sometimes. So what we have to do is Daddy's trying to find a way to be in the middle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the name of the book was going to be In the Middle. Right.
You're like the third person I've talked in the last day and a half that has mentioned balance.
Yeah.
And it's so
balance is important.
It is.
It really is. Right.
Yeah.
I wish I could love myself the same amount that I hate myself, but I'm still working on that. But and people do want to hear your story because there's going to be little things about your story that are going to resonate with people, and then those people are going to realize, oh, I'm not alone. I always say to people, they're either going to love my story because they're going to figure out they're not alone, or they're going to go, my life sucks, but I'm not Tazz.
You're right. Yeah. Well, and comparing yourself to others is the worst. So unless you're looking way better than someone, but yeah.
Well, comparing yourself to others is like a fool's errand, right? I'm me. I work at my own pace. Just remember that some people are going to compare themselves to you as well, and because they're going to see things that about you that they're not going to ever think is that they're going to go, oh, I wish I was like that guy, or I wish I was like, and I wish I had that. I wish I had, like when you said, oh, you're in a band and you are, I said, I wish I could draw and I wish I could play an instrument, but that's not my forte. My forte is taking words, putting them in a certain order, and making your brain go, oh my God, that's hilarious, right? Mm-hmm. Or putting them in the same order. The other end of that rainbow is that I can take words and put them in the right order and make you feel horrible about yourself, right? So it's all about literally choosing the good part, right? Choose to try to
the balance.
I wake up every morning and I say to the universe, good morning, I love you. Give me a chance to share my love with everybody, right? Give me a chance to help others. Give me a chance to find my love for me and have so much that I can spill over.
Every morning you actually do that?
Every morning. And at night too. Thank you for the opportunity, right? Thank you for the opportunity.
It's gratitude.
And then I say to myself, my higher self, I say, hopefully you've learned today how to be better at reacting and taking a breath before you react, right? Mm-hmm. Because life is going to give us all kinds of wonderful stuff. And then it's going to give you infected zombie shit, and you're going to have to drink that too through a skunk's penis as a straw, because it's just going to be so gross. But it's how you react to it, right? Well, and that's what's changed in my life, is how I'm reacting to things. Mm-hmm. I still knee jerk and go bah, 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 right? And then a couple minutes later, like, okay, so let's take a breath and go, so why did you have that reaction? Well, before in the past. Well, guess what? That doesn't matter. This is now. This is this moment. What can you do? I remember one of the weirdest, I can't hear very well, right? So my life is listening to people, figuring out what rhymes with what they say, and then, see if it fits the situation. A lady came up to me after a show one time and said, "You're awesome." I'm like, thank you very much. It was lovely for you. Thanks for taking the time to come and tell me that. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you. Lots of love from my family to yours. And I walked away. And the comedian that was with me, she said, that was a weird way to handle that. And I go, why? She said something. I reacted the way I should react. And she goes, what do you think she said? I said, well, she said, you're awesome. And she goes, no, she said, you're an asshole. And I said, well, thank you very much. It was very kind of you to let me know. Appreciate it very much. Thank you for the kind words. Lots of love from my family to yours, which made the situation even better because now she's walking away going, I don't know what just happened. Well, I believe in this world, you have many soulmates. It's not just one. Mm-hmm. You have many soulmates. You have many people that are in your life that you're going to have, that whatever you believe, whether it's a past life connection or a pre-life arrangement or whatever, right? In other words, before you exist, your souls get together and go, okay, we're going to meet in this life and this is how it's going to be and things like that. Lots of people believe that, maybe just me, but I think there's lots of soulmates. I think there's going to be people that we meet in our life that we're super comfortable with and we're soulmates. But I think there's only one true mated soul for you. And when I met Lisa, I knew I had my mated soul.
And yet you tried to talk her out of it.
100%. I found out I thought I was a piece of work, but I thought I was a piece of junk. Now I'm a piece of art. Not everybody's going to love what they see or understand it, but those that do, they'll get it.
Thank you so much for that, Tazz. You've got an amazing sense of humor. You're a very funny man, but you're also a very wise man and intelligent. So thank you so much for your kind words and your wise words and for your humor. Now, don't forget, next week I'll be speaking with Dina, and we're going to be talking about thriving and surviving. She too is intelligent and wise. So stay tuned for that. Please rate and review. Bye. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe, rate, and review however you are listening to this podcast. It only takes a moment, and it really helps the show out with getting noticed. This episode has been sponsored by Penny University Bookstore, 3104 13th Avenue. Call 639-571-2186 and check out their online bookstore at pennyu.ca. The Saskatchewan Podcast Network is supported by Connexus. Wellness, however you define it, is achievable. You don't even need to figure it all out by yourself. Talk to Connexus. They'll give you guidance, motivation, and the push you need to reach your goals. They've got you. They're your financial partner, and they know you can achieve your very best, your financial best. Prove them right. Start right at Connexus Credit Union. The Saskatchewan Podcast Network is also sponsored by Direct West. Are you a business owner looking for new avenues to promote your business? Direct West digital billboards are a great opportunity to highlight a new product, new promotion, or anything else you'd like your customers to know about. You can get local, expert marketing help for your business at directwest.com. If you are having a mental health crisis, please call the Canadian Crisis number at 1-833-456-4566. In Saskatchewan, the mobile crisis team in Prince Albert is 306-764-1011. In Regina, it's 306-525-5333, and in Saskatoon, it's 306-933-6200. Don't forget to check out my children's book, Sometimes Daddy Cries. Sometimes Daddy Cries is told through the eyes of a boy whose father suffers from depression. He sees his dad get sad, rest, and even go to the hospital, all while comparing his father's depression to a physical ailment. Available on Amazon.ca. I'll see you next time. This is Todd Redebaum saying, make your beds and take your meds. Bye.